You seem quite calm.
I'm calm? I'm like having panic attack right now.
No.
What is up everyone, Mark here. Welcome back to my channel, welcome if you're new. Today I'm going to be doing a tier list for Eurovision 2023. So yes, this is going to be all 37 songs in a tier list. And as you'll see here, I have S through D tier, and this will be kind of loosely going in line with this list here. And the reason I'm using this list and not this list is just because this one has a lot of cool photos and the flags. So I thought that was a bit easier to follow than just having the song names. So with that said, let us start with my first entry, which is Albania. This is of course Albina and Familja Kelmendi with the song Duje. This was actually one of the first songs we got this year, and one that I've had a lot of time to listen to and really think about. This song is one that I actually like a lot. I think Albina has a great voice. I love that she's singing with her family, and I love that this song has so many traditional Albanian elements. I also really enjoyed the revamp of this song. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it gave the song much better production value, which is one of the things I was concerned about. However, I don't feel like the song is as strong or just as interesting as some of the songs that I'm going to rank above it. So for me, this is going to get a B tier for now. A very good song, but one that I just feel like is kind of in the middle of the pack for now, but still one that I'm very much looking forward to in Liverpool. So with that, let's move on to Armenia. This is a really interesting entry, and I gotta say, Armenia has really been on a roll with Eurovision. We of course had Rosalind last year, who became world famous, and then we had Nare and JESC, and then Kami Kami winning JESC the year before. So Armenia has really been doing very well, and it is great to see them sending another quality entry. However, I do have two critiques for this song. One of those is the rap. I think the rap part just felt a little bit out of place on first listen, but I have gotten used to it. And then beyond that is also the lyrics. I think the lyrics are pretty good for the most part. However, there is that one lyric about near cafes, which I thought was kind of funny. Apparently that was actually based off a typo in a tweet. Regardless, the lyrics are pretty solid. Didn't bother me too much. I think the song has a lot more going for it than against it. The song is a lot of fun to listen to. Brunette has a fantastic voice, and I also love that crescendo towards the end and that switch into Armenian. So for me, this is going to get A tier, definitely solidly A tier. Not quite S tier just yet. I have other songs I like a bit more, but a very good entry and one that I think is going to stand out a lot in semifinal 2. So with that, let's move on to Australia. This is the song Promise by the band Voyager, and I was initially very happy to see Voyager in Eurovision. I was a big fan of them in Australia Decides, but this song just doesn't have the same impact for me. I don't come back to it. It just is very forgettable. On the positive side of things, I really like the rock elements of this song, but that's about it. There isn't much else about this that I enjoy, so for me, this is going to get a D tier. With that, let's move on to Austria. This is the song Who the Hell is Edgar? This is one of the more creative entries, one of the most entertaining for sure. One of the ones that I think stands out a lot in this competition. I love the way this song is about songwriting. It's about the struggles of being a songwriter, the 0.003, which you get from Spotify. If you didn't know, that's kind of what you get from Spotify per stream, I believe. And it's also, in addition to having very good lyrics, a very fun song. I like the po 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 chorus. It has a really fun dance, and it was just a lot of fun to watch. Like Halo last year, this song is very fast-paced and could be a lot to keep up with. However, as it stands, this is a great entry, a very fun and creative one. Not one I think is as strong as Armenia's entry, but still a great song nonetheless. So for me, this will also be in A tier. With that, let's move on to Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan usually sends pretty good entries, but this year, for whatever reason, I just did not click with this one. I actually do enjoy this as a song. I think this is a very good song, just not one that I think is nearly as strong enough to compete with the other ones in Eurovision this year. Just not one that I think has that extra something that is going to really make it a qualifier, to be honest. And it's a song that I just forget about. Unfortunately, this song does not have the same staying power as the majority of the other songs on this list, so I'm going to put this as well in D tier. Voyager does rank just a little bit higher for me just because of those rock elements. And so with that, let's move on to Belgium. This is Gustaph with the song Because of You. And I gotta say, this is a song that has actually kind of grown on me over time. I initially was not a big fan of this. As you might know, I was really rooting for either Gala or Shireen in the Belgian national final. And when Gustaph won, I was just kind of shocked. However, as I've watched more of his performances, such as his performance in Barcelona Eurovision Party, which I thought was great, I have actually come to appreciate Gustaph a lot more as a performer and as a singer. And I think he brings a lot to the table. The only thing is, the song itself just is not my cup of tea. And while it is kind of catchy, I just don't click with it that much. So for me, this is going to be in C tier. Still, Gustaph is really great, and I think that he is going to bring a great show in Liverpool. So C tier is not bad. Again, judging off this other list, it is not bad, kind of fun. And I think that's kind of where I would put Gustaph. Pretty fun entry, just again, not one that I think is as strong as the other ones. So with that, let's move on to Croatia. This is the song Mama Sh, and this one has really kind of been back and forth with me. I've considered putting this in all different tiers, to be honest, just because it is a very difficult song to classify. I like a lot about it. I like the message of the song. I like the way it sounds. However, the staging I was not a big fan of. I thought the performance in Dora was a bit tacky, and it was a bit too campy even for me. Still, I think the song does have a lot going for it. I am hesitant to put this in C tier. I'm going to put this in higher D tier just because that staging just did not do it for me. However, the song itself is pretty solid and kind of fun. I think this is going to stay at this spot in D tier towards the top. As I listen to it more, I might go up into C or even B tier, but I think D tier is a pretty good spot to give it for now. So with that, let's move on to Cyprus. This is Break a Broken Heart, and it is a pretty good entry. I was actually pretty surprised to see Andrew Lembro coming back for Eurovision, and by coming back, I just say that because he was in the national finals for Australia last year, and now he is representing Cyprus, which is pretty cool. I actually really liked his song last year, Electrify, and this one I think is pretty good too. Definitely similar in the sense that there was a lot of production on it, so I'm not sure what his live vocals are going to sound like. It's still a pretty good entry, one I listen to a lot, but also one that I don't find as memorable or as interesting as the other ones. I'm going to put this a little bit above Gustaph because I prefer this song to Because of You, but this is just not an entry that I think has the same power or impact as Albania's song, for instance, or Austria or Armenia, so I think that's a pretty good spot to give it for now. So with that, let's move on to the Czech Republic. This is Vesna, My Sister's Crown, and definitely one of the most interesting entries we've gotten this year. The song is sung in 4 different languages, which I give major props as a language nerd, and I also love the music video. The only downside to this really is that the only 2 performances we've gotten, which were in ESCZ, which did not have the best production value, and in Israel Calling, just have not, in my opinion, showcased the best of this band. I think their vocals in those performances were alright. I mean, they did the best they could with what they had, but I just feel like we have not seen Vesna at their fullest potential, and that does affect my opinion of this overall entry. So that's why for me this song is only going to be in the A tier, not the S tier, even though I do love it a lot. And I'm going to put this above Armenia because I think Vesna really brings something different. They really do have a fantastic entry here. I think one of the best Czech entries of all time, and a song that I keep coming back to. I think this is definitely top 10 material if they pull it off on stage, and just an entry that I really am excited about. So with that, let's move on to Denmark. This is Riley with the song Breaking My Heart, and it's a song that I honestly did not mind so much on first listen. Even though I was not the biggest fan of a lot of aspects of the song, I can appreciate that the song is nice and fun to listen to. Riley did have good staging in DMGP, but the song itself for me just is not that strong. I don't find it that interesting. Also, there was a lot of auto-tune in that live performance, and what it comes down to as well is just that this is not really for my demographic, not by a long shot. This is not the kind of song that I think I would listen to ever, and just because of that, that's why I'm going to put this in D tier, right behind Australia. Now, I like Australia just a bit more, just because they do have those rock elements that I appreciate. Denmark does not have that much that clicks with me personally, and so with that, let us move on to Estonia. This is, of course, Alika with the song Bridges, and this is a song that I actually liked a lot on first listen. This was, as a matter of fact, my runner-up for ST Lol. However, I have not really revisited this song in a while, and while I think it is still a good song, it just is not as unique or as memorable for me as a lot of the other ones that we've gotten this year. Another thing too is that the song very much reminds me of Adele, and so it doesn't sound as authentic to Alika as an artist. So for me, this is also going to get B tier. I'm going to put this just above Albania. I think Bridges is just a little bit stronger, but I don't think Bridges has that extra little something that I think would put it on par with Austria, Armenia, or the Czech Republic. So I feel like B tier is a pretty good spot to give this for now. Still a very good song, and with that, let's move on to Finland. You probably already know what this is going to be, but Cha 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 is a song that I like a lot, a song I've enjoyed for a while now, one I still listen to all the time, and so for me, this is going to get S tier. This is going to be the first entry that I have in the S tier, and that is because the song is so much fun. It's one I personally really enjoy. I think Kadia is a phenomenal artist, a great singer, and very charismatic. He did very well on stage, by the way. I mean, that live performance was very, very good in my opinion, and right now it is my runner-up for all of Eurovision this year, so I think S tier is the perfect spot to give this one. And with that, let's move on to France. This is Lazara with the song Évidemment, and another great entry from France. I loved the music video, her costume, the staging, her voice. I'm going to put this in A tier, and this is going to be on the higher end of A tier. I think the song has a lot of potential. That music video showed us how much staging potential this one has. I love the song a lot, and I've been coming back to it a lot of times. I'm debating whether or not to put this above My Sister's Crown, but for now I'm going to put this just behind My Sister's Crown. I think this one has a very similar amount of potential, but I think My Sister's Crown just has a lot more that makes it stand out for me personally. Again, all those different languages and all those different cultural elements. So with that, let's move on to Georgia. This is Iru with the song Echo. My opinion of the song has changed quite a lot in the past couple, I guess, weeks now. At first, I loved the song. I thought it sounded amazing. I mean, sonically, this is definitely a masterpiece. However, I then looked at the lyrics, and the lyrics just were not my cup of tea, but the song still sounds great. I like a lot about it, and what really earns this a lot of points for me is the fact her vocals in Barcelona Eurovision Party and Israel Calling were impeccable, and I was just so blown away. So that is a big part of why this is not going to get C or D tier, which is where I would have put it originally had I not seen those performances. This is going to be in B tier. This is going to be on the higher end of B tier, above Bridges and above Duje, and that is because the song has so much potential in Eurovision. I love so much about it. Again, her vocals are incredible, her staging was great, and I just loved everything that she gave us. I think the only downside really is the lyrics, and the lyrics honestly didn't bother me that much watching her live. I mean, I almost forgot that the lyrics were as bad as they are, but even considering the lyrics, this is not that bad of a song. I actually am really excited to see what Iru does, and I think B tier is a pretty good spot to give it for now. So with that, let's move on to Germany. This is Lord of the Lost with the song Blood and Glitter, and one I am really excited about. I mean, Germany has not sent an entry that I have loved since 2018, and this one, I'm not sure if I'm in love with it just yet, but I do like a lot about it. I love rock, I love the campiness of the song. I think this song is bringing camp back to Eurovision in a way that I like a bit better than Mama Sh, and I am just excited to see what they do on the Liverpool stage, because that performance in the German national final, they just were not able to have the staging they wanted just because the stage was too small or something. So I think in Liverpool we are going to get a great show. For me, I'm going to put this on the higher end of B tier. I think this is a really good song, but I just don't find it as strong as the ones in my A tier, and so I feel like B tier is a pretty good spot to give it for now. Just really looking forward to seeing what they give us in Liverpool. So with that, let's move on to Greece. This is the song What They Say, and this is actually a pretty impressive entry, just given that Victor is so young. However, I feel like we've heard this type of song many times before. It doesn't do anything that different, and honestly, when I first heard it, I was like, oh man, not another one of these. It's not a bad song by any means, but it just doesn't do anything different with any sort of genre. I don't come back to this one, I don't find it that memorable, and it just feels very done before. So for me, I'm gonna put this in lower C tier. It's not a bad song by any means. I actually do find some enjoyment listening to it. It just is not one that does anything new, and it's just an okay song. So with that, let's move on to the next song, which is Delia Power. This is of course Iceland's entry, and in my opinion, a very underrated entry. Iceland has done a great job sending this song. I think Delia is a phenomenal vocalist. I mean, she has some extremely powerful vocals, might I add, and she's also able to sing very well while doing kicks and moving around and just being very dynamic on stage. So I think she is incredibly talented. The song is pretty good too. While I understand that the lyrics might be a little bit generic and a bit done before, I still like the song a lot, and I will say too, a lot of the lyrics, yes, can be in any other generic pop song. However, I think Delia's vocals and her performance and everything else about this more than makes up for that. And I gotta say too, I have listened to this a lot on Spotify. It is a very powerful and uplifting song. So for me, this is going to be in A tier. While I don't find it as strong as these other songs that I have here, I think it is amazing, and I'm very happy that Iceland is sending another great entry. So with that, let's move on to Ireland. This is Wild Youth with the song We Are One. And this is one that I just did not like that much on first listen, and one I still do not enjoy that much. I was really rooting for Ireland in their national final to send something that was different, unique, fun, would help them qualify. I mean, Ireland has not qualified in quite some time, so I was really hoping they would send something that would change that, but unfortunately, this song just is not it for me. I feel like this one is so generic, so done before. A lot of the lyrics, especially in the beginning, just are a little bit painful to listen to. It sounds like the kind of song I would have heard in 2010, and even back in 2010, this probably would have sounded dated. For me, this is going to get D tier, and on the lower end of D tier. I tried to like this one, I really did, but it just didn't happen for me. So with that, let's move on to Israel. This is Noah Kirill with the song Unicorn, and this one is one I like a lot more than the last one. I actually really enjoy a lot of aspects of this song. I love the dance break, I love the vocals, I love the instrumental, I think it's a lot of fun. The music video also really sold it for me. I think the only downside is that some of the lyrics are a little bit strange, like the ones about having the power of a unicorn, like what does that even mean? But otherwise, I think this is a pretty solid entry, and it's one I'm really looking forward to. So for me, I'm gonna put this in A tier. I'm gonna put this right above Armenia. I think these two songs are very close together for me, but I just like Unicorn a little bit more. It's one I listen to a lot more for sure. And so with that, let's move on to Italy. This is Marco Mengoni with the song Due Vite, and a song I like a lot. As an Italian who does not speak Italian, I always appreciate songs in the Italian language. I think it sounds amazing, and I am still trying to learn it. Hopefully I will master it soon, but a very nice song for me. I actually like Marco's vocals a lot. I think it's actually a pretty nice song to listen to. However, I don't feel like it is as strong or as unique as the ones I have in my A tier or in my S tier right now. One of the reasons for that is that this is another male ballad from Italy, and we've gotten so many male ballads from Italy, so this one doesn't stand out too much to me. While I think Marco is a great singer and the song is definitely very emotional, I also don't click with this that much on an emotional level, but still, very good song, one I like a lot, and I'm very happy that Italy is sending another great entry, even if it's very similar to a lot of their past entries. So with that, let's move on to Latvia. This is Sudden Lights with the song Aya, and another great entry. I actually think this one is pretty underrated, kind of like Delia. I don't think it's as strong as Power, but still a very good song. I think I'm going to put this right below Lord of the Lost. I think the song has a lot going for it, and I really don't have any critiques for it. I think the only thing is that it just isn't as strong, or I feel like as memorable as the ones that I put above it. And a big part of that is because the song is very subtle. I think it works for this entry though, and it is one I keep coming back to, but I think right now B tier is a pretty good spot to give it. Definitely will grow on me with time, and also I'm not sure how well the song will do in Eurovision just because it is very subtle. And I think a lot of people are looking for something very eye-catching and out there, and this song just doesn't really have that extra something that I feel like is going to make this a sure qualifier. But I do hope it qualifies, and I think it will grow on me a lot once we see it on the Eurovision stage. So with that, let's move on to Lithuania. This is Monika Lankita with the song Stay, and I actually really like this one. Monika has great vocals, her voice is very powerful, also the backup singers have great vocals too. I loved the staging of this song, I thought all the staging was perfect. I loved the sunrise and sunset feel of it, I loved the cultural elements in the background. I also really like the Shuto Tuto part. I think that's very unique and makes this song stand out a lot to me. The only thing is, I don't feel like it is as powerful as some of these other songs. I don't feel like it has as much of that extra something, that je ne sais quoi. The English lyrics are a little bit generic, but I will say because of those cultural elements and because of Monika's amazing vocals, I'm going to put this above Albania, I'm going to put this above Bridges, and put it just behind Georgia. I think Georgia has a little bit of that extra something for me, that's why I like it a lot, and I think has a bit more potential in Eurovision, but Lithuania is a song that I think is a bit underrated right now, and one that I think is going to impress a lot of people in the live show. So with that, let's move on to Malta. This is The Busker with the song Dance, and this song has 10 out of 10 staging. I mean, the staging here is phenomenal. I love everything about it. I think it is so unique and so good. However, the song itself is a bit weak to me. I don't really listen to this song at all. It kind of brings the whole thing down just a little bit. I want to put this in very high C tier. I'm going to put this above Cyprus, and I'm going to put this just behind Albania. I think this has a lot going for it, especially staging wise, and I think it might be too late to revamp the song, but still, I think they're going to have a very good chance at qualification. And to be honest, the staging really does make up a lot for that weak song for me. So I feel like C tier is a pretty good spot to give it. Not a bad song, just one I think is just okay, and one I am still really excited to see in May. So with that, let's move on to Moldova. And this is actually one of the most impressive entries we've gotten this year. I was honestly expecting Sunstroke Project to win for Moldova. I did not expect the Epic Sax guy to be defeated in the national final, but somehow Pasha did it. And so I was very intrigued as to how that happened. I very quickly realized as I watched the live performance that this song is an absolute masterpiece. I mean, Pasha did a great job with this one. His vocals were on point. The staging was great. I loved the inclusion of Epic Flute Guy. I thought that was really cool. Definitely made this stand out. I loved the drummers in the background, the backup singers with the horns on their heads. I felt like I was watching a ritual, and it kind of reminded me of France's song last year, which I appreciated because I was a huge fan of Fulen and the vibe that song had. So for me, this is going to be an S tier. I actually think this is one of the most underrated songs we have this year. I think Pasha is incredible. I think there's nothing for me to critique with this performance. It is just so different, so unique, and so good. I mean, Pasha is incredible. I've watched all of his performances since the national final. I mean, just recently he had that performance in Madrid, which was phenomenal. I hope they're going to have another top 10 result as they did last year. So with that, let's move on to the Netherlands. This is the song Burning Daylight. While this song is written by Duncan Lawrence, I don't think it has the same magic that Arcade did. It's not a bad song by any means, but I do find it very just underwhelming for some reason. I just don't come back to it. I don't find it that interesting. I am going to put this definitely in C tier. I'm going to put this right behind Gustaph. Because of You is not my favorite song, but live, Gustaph is incredible. It's so much fun, so danceable. And I feel like Burning Daylight, you know, it has a nice message. I can relate to it. I like it a bit more than what they say, just because I can definitely appreciate what it's going for a little bit more. So that's why it's at the spot of my list. And with that, let's move on to Alessandra, Queen of Kings. I'm going to put this right above Pasha. I think this is one of the most outstanding entries we've gotten this year. I mean, Norway sends great entries, and this is no exception. Now, at first, I wasn't the biggest fan of this song because it sounded a lot like Run to the Hills. And while I still think it definitely has a lot of elements that are similar to that song, as I've listened to it more, as I've come to appreciate Alessandra more as an artist, I just don't have that complaint anymore. I mean, I feel like audiences in ESC are not even going to notice that this sounds remotely similar to Run to the Hills. Most people don't even watch national finals anyway, so I don't think that's a huge deal. And I just think this is a great entry overall. I love Alessandra's high notes, the way she's able to hit them so flawlessly, and I think the staging of the song was really good too. I loved her outfit. I loved that Italian part in the beginning. There was so much to like here. There isn't really anything I have to critique, to be honest. So that's why I have this in S tier. I think this is one of the strongest entries for sure, and one of the most memorable and fun. So with that, let's move on to, oh, this is going to be interesting. This is Blanca with the song Solo. And where am I going to put this one? Okay, so as you might have guessed, this song is going to go in D tier. I just am not a big fan of it. I think it is very generic and just not a song I listen to at all, really. The only reason it's above Wild Youth is just because I think it is a little bit more listenable. I mean, I would put this song on if I had nothing else to listen to, whereas We Are One, I would not listen to at all, even if the world was ending. I feel like Solo gives a very much Song of the Summer energy, which I can appreciate, even though I don't like this song that much, even though I am still a bit salty over what happened to Jan. I still think the song has some merits to it. That's the only reason why it is above Ireland. However, I just don't like the song at all, really. I don't find it that enjoyable. I think it is very generic, and her performance in the Polish national final was not that good. Definitely not good enough to justify me giving this a higher spot. So that's why it is in D tier for me and at this lower place in D tier. So with that, let's move on to Portugal. Mimikat has absolutely outdone herself with this entry. As you might have guessed, this will either be going in A or S tier. I think Mimikat brings something special, something so unique. Her live performance was impeccable, and I just don't have any complaints for the song at all. I think Mimikat is an amazing artist. The song is really fun. I do listen to it a lot. It is so fast paced and also has all those traditional elements that I appreciate in music. And I also loved the staging. The choreo was really good. The outfits were really good. The props, the couch was kind of fun to have. I loved everything about it, honestly, and I am just so excited to see what she does in Liverpool. I just feel like these three are a little bit stronger, but overall, great entry and very happy to see Portugal potentially making it back into the top 10. So with that, let's move on to Romania. This is the song DGT, and I actually like the song a lot. I really liked when this song was performed solo and Theodore was performing by himself on a pretty empty stage. I think that worked a lot better than the actual final staging they gave us. In the Romanian national final, we got some pretty hectic and just downright bizarre staging, and I feel like that hurt the song a lot, especially in my own rankings. For that reason, this is not going to get B tier. I was going to give this B tier, but just I can't give it that quite yet. I'm going to place this right above Gustaph. I think Gustaph is really great, but I just love the song DGT so much, and I think the only issue there is the staging, whereas Gustaph, the issue is the song itself. We know that Theodore is a great artist. We know he can give a great performance. We know he doesn't need any of that fancy staging to be good, so that's why I think this is a good spot to give it. I just really wish they would fix the staging, because I think this song has a lot of potential and is one I genuinely enjoy. So with that, let's move on to San Marino. This is Peaked Jax with this song Like an Animal, and you know, this is a strange one. I honestly was really hoping that San Marino would send something that I don't have to rank as low as I'm going to rank this one, but that did not happen. I mean, this song is not bad. There's actually stuff I like about it. I actually like the lead singer's vocals, and I think that the song is kind of fun, but I don't like the lyrics that much, and there isn't that much, honestly, that appeals to me about this song. I think the song is pretty weak, I'll be honest. I mean, this song is very strange, a little bit creepy, to be honest, and I just don't find it that entertaining. I'm going to put this right above... Okay, here's the thing, right? I like Azerbaijan a bit more because it kind of sounds like the Beatles, and I like Denmark a bit more because it is, you know, I can listen to it. And then I like this one, of course, because I think Promise has more of the rock elements that I enjoy than Like an Animal does. I think it really is the lyrics, and just that I find it just so jarring and not that interesting. Yeah, this is a good spot to give it for me. I'm not going to put this any higher. Just putting it here in D tier. Not a great entry from San Marino, not one I've revisited that much. And so with that, let's move on to Serbia. This is Luke Black with the song Samo mi se spava, and it's a song I really enjoy. I mean, this one is another great entry from Serbia, another kind of experimental entry from Serbia. Do I think this is as good as Constructa was? Not quite. I mean, this is pretty good, but the only critique I have for this one is the vocals. The vocals are a little bit bizarre, yes, and I see that in a lot of comments too, but that doesn't bother me so much, I'll be honest. I mean, I actually like this song more than all the ones in my A tier. This one does something so different and has such great staging, and Luke is such a talented singer and performer. Yeah, this is going in S tier. I'm putting this right above Mimikat. I just love Luke Black as a performer, and I just think he is giving something so different this year and something so just captivating. I love performances that put you in a trance, as you will see very soon with some of the other songs I have in S tier, and this one does that for me, and so for that, I just have to put this in S tier. Love Luke Black, love Serbia this year, love Samo mi se spava, and just cannot wait to see what he gives us in May. With that, let's move on to Slovenia. This is the song Carpe Diem by the amazing band Joker Out, one of my new favorite bands just in general. I love them so much. I love the song so much. Even if this wasn't a Eurovision song, this would go straight to my playlist just because it is exactly my type of music. As you might expect, this is going to go in S tier. I mean, where else would it be, right? I'm going to put this right above Pasha, just a little bit above Pasha. I think it is really great, really strong, just so much fun to watch. I think these guys have so much charisma and are just amazing performers. I don't think it is as strong as Queen of Kings, just because I find that Alessandro just has a little bit more of that je ne sais quoi, but still a great entry. I mean, I don't know anyone who doesn't love Joker Out. I think they are just spectacular. And so with that, let us move on to Spain. All right, you already know Spain is one of my favorite entries this year. Spoiler alert, it is my favorite entry this year by far. I just love everything that Blanca gave us. Kind of like what I said about Luke Black. I mean, her song puts me in a trance, which I love. It takes me to another world. I forget where I am, and it just gives us something so different. She has an amazing voice. I love how this song is like a flamenco lullaby, but has a bit of a darker vibe to it. And I also really like the lyrics. The lyrics are actually very powerful. Everything about this song just does it for me. So for me, this is going to be at the very top of my S tier. With that, let's move on to Loreen Tattoo. All right, let's see, Loreen, no, she's going in S tier. You know that already. She's amazing. The song Tattoo, while I find it a bit similar to Euphoria, is still amazing. She did a great job at Melfest. The staging was top notch. Whatever square thing she was on could not be taken to the Liverpool stage for whatever reason. So I'm really excited to see what she is going to give us in May. This song, based on what we have so far, all the live performances, is incredible. Loreen is such a professional and talented artist. It's amazing how over 10 years later, she still is able to deliver great vocals, great staging, and some really cool dance moves. So huge props to her for that. I mean, she's just amazing, and I cannot wait to see what she does in May. So that is going to be, I think, all the songs in my S tier so far. We have 3 left, so let's talk about them. First up is Switzerland. Switzerland has a pretty good entry this year. Not one of my favorites, but one I do appreciate. It has an interesting message, which I think is a little bit hit or miss just given the world today, but still, I like the vocals of this one. I find it fun to listen to. I'm going to put this above Netherlands, but I'm not going to put this above Gustaph. I feel like Gustaph is kind of my cutoff in C tier between songs that I think are pretty fun and unique and songs that I feel like just are not. I feel like these 3 here, Greece, Netherlands, and Switzerland, are giving us kind of generic songs that I've heard many times before. However, I feel like of those 3, Switzerland is just the most enjoyable for me to listen to. I mean, Remo has a lovely voice, and the song is pretty good in its own right. I just feel like for Eurovision, it isn't as strong as the other ones, and just doesn't have that extra something that I would need to put it in B or A tier. So with that, let's move on to Ukraine. I actually do listen to this song a lot, and I did listen to the revamp, and I will say the revamp, I wasn't quite disappointed by it, but it just wasn't really my cup of tea. I found it to be just okay, to be honest. I was hoping they would extend the song or do something different, maybe add more verses in Ukrainian, but you know, it was still good. I honestly do kind of prefer the original, I'm not gonna lie, but still pretty good song. I'm gonna put this a little bit higher than I used to. I'm gonna put this above Albania. I'm gonna put this above Estonia. I'm gonna put this right above Lithuania. I feel like it is a lot of fun to listen to and pretty good. I just feel like it is missing a lot of elements that I feel like would make it rank higher, but I do like it a bit more than Albania, Estonia, and a little bit more than Lithuania because it is more so my type of music. But I feel like Georgia, Latvia, Germany, and Italy have a bit more potential and just have a lot more elements that I really like, but still, TVORCHI is great. I actually ranked them a bit higher than I was going to. So with that, let's move on to my final song on this list, and that is the UK. This is Mae Muller with the song I Wrote a Song, and where will I put this? Now, I like this song on its own. I think it is pretty fun and very upbeat, very fast. However, for Eurovision, I feel like this is not the kind of song that I was expecting from the UK, not the caliber of Sam Ryder, and just kind of done before, to be honest. I like Mae Muller. I think she is a great singer, but this just is not one of the songs that has really caught my attention that much. It's not one that I think is that strong comparatively to all these other ones. So I'm going to put this at the bottom of B tier. The song isn't bad, but I just feel like compared to everything else, it just isn't as memorable or as unique, and I just feel like I've heard it dozens of times before. So that's the only reason why it is at this spot, but regardless, still a good entry. Still, I'm really excited to seeing what the UK does this year and hoping for a great result. So with that, that has been my tier list. Let's review it and see if there's any adjustments I would make. Okay, looking at it now, I don't think I would change too much. Let's see, we have Ireland at the bottom here. Okay, that makes sense. Croatia's pretty good. I am tempted to move this a bit further down, but I'll keep it here for now. Okay, I might be tempted to move these down into A tier here. Not that they're bad or anything, just I feel like you know, these really are the S tier ones for me. Whereas these could go down to A tier just because I feel like they're not as strong as these 6 songs right here. These really just are the ones to watch this year. I mean, these are the ones that have driven me insane because they are so good. But yeah, I think this is more so kind of my definitive tier list right now. I'm even tempted to move up Delia a little bit more, but I think that these 7 here are a little bit stronger, but still, I think this is a pretty definitive tier list here. We got Spain at the top, Finland, Sweden, Norway, Slovenia, Moldova. Okay, I might change this as we get closer to May. Who knows? As I see more of these live performances, more of these Eurovision celebrations. But for now, this is kind of how I think I'm going to rank all these songs. And with that, please let me know what you think down below. If you agree, disagree with this tier list, if there's any suggestions you would make or anything you want to change, let me know. If there's any video ideas you have for next time, something you want to hear me talk about, please let me know as well. With that, thank you all so much for watching. I mean, the channel has been growing quite well lately, and I've been so busy I have not been able to make that many videos. So hopefully that will change. I really want to make more content, and I'm just so excited for the Eurovision season this year. I really cannot wait for May, and I'm also very excited to hear what you have to say about it. So with that, thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support. I hope you really enjoyed this video, my commentary, this list, and thank you all again so much. You do not realize how much I appreciate it. And with that, I will see you all next time. Peace.